Tonight on SCTV3, see an in-depth history on the development of Stagg Field.
Plus, we ask students how they are planning to spend their spring break.
All that and more tonight on SCTV3.
Hello and welcome to tonight's edition of SCTV3 Weekly News. I'm River Mitchell.
And I'm Caitlin Kupiak. Thank you for tuning in.
We start tonight taking a look at Stagg Field. Along with Blake Arena, Stagg serves as a sporting epicenter of Springfield's campus, hosting games for the football, field hockey, and both lacrosse teams.
Since its construction in 1970, the field has undergone many changes, including becoming an innovator for the use of a brand new type of playing surface. SCTV3's Sam McGilpin explored the history of the stadium and spoke to some of the current coaches about its legacy today.
Stagg Field is a state-of-the-art Division III stadium on the campus of Springfield College named after Amos Alonzo Stagg, who created and managed the first football team ever at the Springfield YMCA in 1890, which later became Springfield College. The stadium seats a total of 3,867 spectators and can also be viewed from the press box as well as the student townhouses. Although the well-preserved monofilament turf field was introduced in 2007 when they decided to honor the stadium in his name, it hasn't always been Stagg Field. Dating back over 54 years ago, Springfield College had its eyes set on a new multi-purpose field. The groundbreaking was December 3rd of 1970 and would eventually be named after Paul G. Benedum, who was a Board of Trustee member and a corporator of the college in the 60s, but that was just the start. The field would have polyturf, the first AstroTurf playing field to be put on a college campus and arguably change the landscape of football fields. The installation would cost $415,000, which would be $3.3 million now. The college took a risk, but believed it would pay off. The field took about 4 months to complete, and the opening ceremony of the Benedum Field was on September 18, 1971, the same day of the Springfield versus Cortland football season opener. Current Springfield College football head coach Mike Sarasulo coaches in the same stadium that he played on in 1989 and 1992, and just finished an historic season for the Pride on a historic field as they went all the way to the NCAA quarterfinals.
Oh, it's awesome. Awesome environment. Again, when you get an opportunity to be on Stagg, formerly known as Benedum, back when I played, but I think anytime you have a home opportunity to play and be around your buddies and play with your friends, and just a collection of alum that come back as well, and the student support, faculty support, it's awesome environment.
The environment that Sarasulo loves boosted his team to the best season in Springfield history, going undefeated in the regular season and winning 2 games in the NCAA playoffs that included 2024 champion Cortland. The team had more firepower than ever before, but Sarasulo hopes his team can get even farther. One of the reasons why being the Division III National Championship is named after Stagg. The Stagg Bowl is a big hope of Sarasulo's in the future.
Yeah, I think it's so cool just being called Amos Alonzo Stagg Field and getting the kids to understand that the ultimate goal in closing that gap from where we were this past year to getting to the Stagg Bowl would be quite an accomplishment. Being Amos Alonzo Stagg was our first football coach at Springfield College. So just that namesake would be pretty cool, obviously. And
36 years after the opening of the Benedum Field, the polyturf was ripped apart, and in came brand new monofilament turf. The turf has less of a rug feel while trying to look and feel like normal grass. That same summer, they renamed the stadium to Amos Alonzo Stagg Field. Stagg, who was one of the most innovative football minds to ever live, has other football fields named after him, but Springfield tries to put his impact front and center. I went to the Springfield College archives to meet with archivist Jeff Monceau and found some extremely interesting photos and documents that included the polyturf explanation, a clear photo of the rug-looking turf, and a great photo of the Benedum ceremony opening. Springfield men's lacrosse head coach Keith Bugby has been at the college for 42 years and is the 5th most winningest coach in collegiate lacrosse history. Bugby recalls the turf of 4 decades ago.
But AstroTurf for lacrosse it was really fast track, you know. We kind of liked it as a home field because like high bounces for the goalies. It was really firm, you know. But yeah, we were lucky to have it because they would kind of plow it, not like they do now. They got much better at it. So, but it was a surface they could clear when it needed to be. So
Springfield women's lacrosse head coach Jen Thomas is in her 3rd year at the helm of the program. Similar to Sarasulo, Thomas also played on Stagg Field in 2012 and 2013, but unlike Sarasulo, she got to play on the newer turf field. Thomas described what it was like to be a part of that experience.
So cool that there's so much history to it. And I think as a player, like game day was just so special on that field, specifically just kind of location. So I love that it's like right in the middle of, you have senior upperclassmen housing right there. So then that way players, especially when I was playing, like they were always in the backyard of the townhouses, right by the fence.
For the first time in the 2025 season, both Coach Thomas and Coach Bugby will play at Stagg Field on the same day, with women's lacrosse at 12 on Saturday and men's lacrosse following at 3. From SCTV3, I am Sam McGilpin.
The stadium is also used for physical education classes in intramural sports.
Springfield College's Faculty Senate will be voting this week on whether or not to remove the Wellness Passport as a required piece of the college's core curriculum. The Wellness Passport currently requires students to gain 24 stamps across 3 different wellness domains: physical, mental, and meaning and purpose. They are earned by attending various events and activities on campus, like a lecture or just going to the gym. But with concerns about the ability to measure the Wellness Passport's effectiveness and the possibility of students being dishonest when collecting their stamps has put its future up in the air. The Faculty Senate vote is due by tonight at 9, with results set to be announced tomorrow.
On Monday, the Office of Multicultural Affairs hosted the 10th annual Women's Tea event in the Dodge Room. The event included refreshments such as tea, water, and small pastries to go along with the ceremony. The ceremony started with a student award and then shifted its focus to guest speaker Shelley Carter, a fire chief in Hamden, Connecticut. The event concluded with the recognition of staff who have made an impact for women's equality. The event focused on highlighting both the struggle women face and impact they make daily. After the event, Chief Carter shared a clear message for young women.
I can encourage young women or women in general that they are strong and brave and that they can beat the odds. Becoming the first Black female fire chief in New England, I definitely beat the odds. And I want to share that story with women across the country to let them know that they can do anything they want to do if they put their minds to it.
This year's commemoration marks the 10th year of the Women's Tea event and will continue highlighting impactful women in the future.
Earlier today, the Office of the Ombuds kicked off their 2025 Spring Workshop Series. Today's event, titled Communicating with Confidence, was focused on developing communication strategies for students to use in the classroom and workplace. The presentation discussed challenges with communication in the modern world, such as texting and work-life balance. Those in attendance were split into groups and create recipes of positive and disruptive arguments. Each group shared their recipes and learned more about communicating effectively. The next event, called Don't Push My Buttons, will take place on March 26th.
March is observed by Muslims worldwide as the month of fasting, prayer, and reflection, known as Ramadan. Falling on the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, several members of the campus community are in observance of Ramadan. It's believed to be the month where the Quran was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad. Ramadan requires a fast from sunrise to sunset, with an iftar being held last week, consisting of a group prayer and a meal to break the fast. The Office of Spiritual Life is working hard to make sure students are supported during the month, providing students with access to food during the evening hours.
So being in and around food can be difficult when you're trying to fast, but we also wanted to make sure that folks on the meal plan were being supported and had food. So they package up these meals that they can sort of have for dinner and for snack that night, and then also in the morning before the sun rises to make that easier for many of our students.
Once Ramadan is over, Spiritual Life will hold an Eid, a celebration for those observing the holiday. The dates and times have yet to be determined.
Just a couple of days until spring break, students are hoping for some warm weather. Chris Schoenleber is in Studio B with our local and national weather update. Chris?
Thanks, River. Taking a look at the upcoming forecast for the week, we have a lot of warm days approaching, with a high of 64 this Sunday and on Wednesday too. This is the highest temperature of the year so far, and it comes at a perfect time for students to spend their spring break outside. Tomorrow the sun will be shining, reaching a high of 58, but expect some showers on Monday. With the sun returning on Tuesday later in the week, expect some overcast, but temperatures will remain in the 60s. Taking a look at some national weather stories, in Truckee, California, local residents prepare for a powerful winter storm that is moving east towards Sierra Nevada. Some residents are planning to leave early in the morning to beat the snowy conditions. California Transportation is clearing up for the storm by bringing in over 100 crew members from nearby areas to help clear out the roads on I-80. Up to 3 feet of snow is expected, as well as winds that can reach up to 70 miles per hour. The storm made landfall on Wednesday night and will continue to bring dangerous conditions until Friday. Back to you, Caitlin, in Studio A.
When we come back, find out more about the Study Abroad program in International Center through a Q&A with the leader of the office, Heather St. Germain.
Most hiring algorithms would scream me out.
Some bosses couldn't see me as a leader.
I've run this place for 20 years, but I still need to prove that I'm more than what you see on paper. I've been running code as long as I've been able to reach a keyboard.
This is what I do. It's second nature for me, coordinating 100 details at once.
It's the way my mind works. I have a very mechanical brain.
I sold them on my skills.
You gotta be so good they can't ignore you.
My magic is
analytics and empathy. That's how getting clients. You have to have the confidence in yourself to show up and defy the odds.
I'm more than who I am on paper.
I never got a college degree, and today I'm the CEO of my own company. People want to tell me I'm one in a million, when actually I'm one of millions. Stars are all around us. It's time for them to shine.
My opponent is completely disregarding almost half of my arguments which I respond to.
Communities must step up
Laws
and
alone
protest
cannot
against this
stop the
normalizing.
bullying.
Well, I completely disagree.
Point of inquiry, do you guys even realize that the #1 killer of children and teens are gun injuries?
You're probably starting to realize now, this is not a debate.
There is no adult in this earth that wants children to die.
I worry for my kids.
Heather St. Germain was named the director of the International Center in 2020. She works closely with students who want to explore the world and take advantage of the study abroad programs that the school has to offer. SCTV3's Lanaya Delgado spoke to Germain about the benefits of studying abroad and her role in getting students where they want to go.
And so I oversee, in general, campus internationalization efforts, which would include education abroad, so study abroad programs, lead programs, travel by different groups and different campus, as well as our international student and scholar programs and our international partnership. Became director in 2022. I joined Springfield College in 2019 as the associate director. I advise students to start planning for a semester or summer abroad, ideally within the first year, so that they have as many options available to them as possible, hopefully to help create the most accessible pathway possible for them. Study abroad is described as a life-changing experience, not just by me, but by students and who have participated in these activities. And I think a lot of that comes from the opportunity for self-growth and development, and an opportunity to see the world through a different lens, yourself through a different lens, and your contributions to your community, society, and the world at large in a way that you wouldn't otherwise have had you just stayed in an environment that was familiar and comfortable to you. Seeing much greater diversity in the locations that students want to study abroad in. So nationally, most students who study abroad go to Italy, Spain, and Australia. That is also true of Springfield College students. But we are seeing more students become interested in locations in Asia. We sent our first students to Hong Kong this year. We've seen more students interested in Latin America, or even in some less traditional locations in Europe. For example, Athens, Greece is kind of a growing area of popularity for us. So I get excited when students find the right fit program for them. And I think that also tends to make for the very best and most impactful experience for them.
If you're interested in potentially studying abroad, you can find more information on PrideNet. The deadline for fall 2025 applications is April 1st.
Now shifting to some of the major headlines across the country this past week. The United States Department of Agriculture's decision to cut more than $1 billion in funding has farmers across the nation outraged. The USDA also cut funding for local food purchase programs, which provide much of the supplies for local food banks and organizations. SCTV3's Liam Riley has more on how the cuts will impact community food resources.
Recently, states were notified that the USDA had cut funding for the Local Food for Schools Cooperative Agreement program for 2025. The goal of this program was to award funds to states so that they could purchase local food assistance to distribute to schools and child care institutions. This was one of multiple federal program cuts made by the Trump administration to reduce government waste. The decision came at a difficult time, however, as pantries are seeing an increased need.
Our members are still seeing well above pre-pandemic need, and in some cases at peak pandemic need. And we're seeing more and more families who we know are working, we know are doing their best to make ends meet.
Tony Thompson is a farmer in Iowa and the owner of a food hub called Prudent Produce. The food hub buys from 100 Iowa farmers each year and sells some of the food to consumers. The remaining food is given to local schools and pantries through federally funded programs.
We're using those funds to buy food from local food producers and getting them into the hands of people who need them. It's just been really problematic to think about all the work that we've been doing to build these systems and these processes and these procedures, to just have them basically wiped out.
It will only be a matter of time before food banks and pantries feel the effects of the lost funding. But Bryant, along with various forms of food assistance, will not let cuts deter them from their goal of helping others. Reporting for SCTV3, I'm Liam Riley.
The School Nutrition Association stated that an estimated $660 million included in over $1 billion funding cut was previously allotted to be given to schools to make food purchases this year.
Tariffs continue to impact businesses all over the United States. With more threats of increased tariffs, one state in particular is going to feel the increased prices more than others. SCTV3's Kyle Valentine has more.
With many problems like supply chain issues and bird flu haunting grocery stores for months, a new problem has risen. A grocery store in Minnesota may experience the new obstacle due to threats of tariffs to be put in place by Canada. A lot of the supply grocery stores receive in Minnesota come from Canada and even Mexico. According to the owner of Tim and Tom's Speedy Mart, he says the prices have been, quote, like a roller coaster, end quote. Avocados and cucumbers, which are as low as $1.99, may skyrocket due to tariffs that are being threatened to be put in place.
Minnesota will feel the tariff increases more than other states because our economy is more interdependent with Canada than most other states.
Imports from Canada can include things like bacon, mushrooms, and even peppers. Customers are already paying more just from the state mandates that are active inside stores. Those mandates are driving prices up to a point where adding another factor of increased prices from tariffs may leave Minnesota in a dangerous spot.
They're also dealing with mandates from the state of Minnesota that have driven up our costs. And so those two things combined together make us more vulnerable than other states.
Other stores in the United States are being impacted. Ellison Enterprises is a business located in the Bay Area that sells Chinese products that offer a variety of products including herbs, teas, medications, and more. Trump recently doubled tariffs on Chinese imports to 20%, leaving co-owner Edward Lau and his crew to include smaller quantities and precisely measure everything they are handling.
All these products come from China. All this is going to be affected by the tariff.
For many store owners like Lau, raising prices can also lead to losing business.
More expensive, and people will start thinking about other alternatives, or maybe they simply not using it.
Even with the tariffs being doubled, there is no sign that this is the last time a tariff increase will happen. Reporting for SCTV3, I'm Kyle Valentine.
Even with profit margins being low, many stores are looking to keep prices as cheap as possible for their customers.
Saunas have been mainstays in gyms for decades, but the space is getting increased attention for possible health benefits. But too much time in can lead to adverse effects. SCTV3's Dante Iafredi has more.
In a cold New York City winter, these barrel-like saunas at the William Vale Hotel are a hot spot. The hotel rolled out its winter spa with skyline views and inside soaring temperatures that start at 110 degrees. James Volpe was recently soaking it all up.
The cold to the hot is just like the best in the winter.
The private sauna sessions are popular, booking up well in advance. And the spa manager says some guests want to try out a wellness trend.
We check on you every 30 minutes to make sure that you're fine, make sure you're not cold or too hot.
There's no question that sauna space is heating up. The Wall Street Journal reports tech executives are networking in saunas instead of old-school bars. And popular podcasters like Andrew Huberman have praised potential health effects.
Regular use of sauna or other forms of deliberate heat exposure can reduce mortality to cardiovascular events.
I think everyone sort of likes how they feel when they come out of a sauna, right?
Dr. Gian Corrado with Mass General Brigham says the scientific research on saunas is promising.
What is it about sauna use that might be helpful to the body?
We need to understand exactly the mechanism better, but what we know is that blood pressure comes down. We know that studies of the arteries and vessels look to be more healthy after a sauna.
The caveat is, we don't know how much sauna time is a healthy dose for different people.
We need more randomized controlled trials. We need more specific data on different demographics.
Plenty of questions, but for many, the sauna is worth the sweat.
You can just literally come here and sit down and have some peace and quiet and tranquility. I think that's the biggest draw for me.
A hot take that could boost your health. Reporting for SCTV3, I'm Dante Iafredi.
Doctors do say saunas should not be used by people who've recently suffered a heart attack or have other serious heart conditions. If you have any safety questions, it's best to talk to your doctor.
After the break, Michael Lane has you covered on all things Pride athletics, including interview with two-way softball star Amelia DeRosa.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut, the one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink, or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking, now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed, better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead, catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Hey guys, how are you today? Good. I'm here to talk about how with technology you can make amazing worlds. Come with me. My team and I bring the Halo world to life. Is that you? That is me. I wasn't a math genius and I knew nothing about coding. But you guys do. You guys have the power to change things.
I want your job.
I want you to have my job.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of SCTV3 Sports Extra. I'm Michael Lane, bringing you the latest on all things Pride Athletics. Here's a look into how Springfield College Athletics performed this week. Men's lacrosse dropped both of its games this past week. One came to 10th ranked Amherst and the other came ranked 20th against ranked Endicott. Caden Quirk receives the ball, heaves it across the field as far as he can, finds Jake Degnan who shoots and scores. The Pride played Babson at Saturday on Stagg Field starting NUMAC play. Men's volleyball defeated both Endicott and Hunter College over the weekend in a tri-match, beating both teams in 3 sets. Endicott goes for the kill, blocked by Springfield, who sets it up for Jake Delorius as he sends in a kill of his own. The Pride also beat MIT on the road, moving up to 17-2 on the season. They will play Russell Sage tomorrow at 6. Springfield College softball opened up its season on Saturday with a doubleheader against number 12 Williams College. In the first game, both pitchers were on fire, allowing no runs through 5 innings. Amelia DeRosa pitches down the middle, contact made by the Williams batter, who lines out to shortstop Katie Manzone to end the inning. The Pride had another doubleheader on Sunday against Hartford, winning both games. Yesterday afternoon, Springfield College athletes and students gathered around the steps of Blake Arena to honor the members of Pride Athletics who qualified for nationals. Track and field, swimming and diving, gymnastics, and wrestling, athletes are gearing up to compete in their national events in the upcoming days. The celebration included a few words from their coaches and then a walk down the steps of Blake Arena as their fellow teammates and classmates cheered them on in their journeys at nationals. Joe Wong, a qualifier in the 800-meter run for track and field, is excited to represent Springfield College on the national stage.
Man, it's awesome. It just shows that, all the hard work that's been going on since last summer, it's paid off. And I'm really excited to go to nationals, go to Nazareth, put Springfield on the map, show them what we're made of, and bring them some hardware.
The athletes will compete over the next 2 weeks. SCTV3's Liam Riley sat down with Amelia DeRosa of the softball team to discuss opening weekend and the outlook of the rest of the season.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of our Athlete in Studio interview. I'm here with junior on the softball team, Amelia DeRosa. Amelia, how'd you start with softball?
It all actually started with my dad teaching my brother how to play baseball, and he was not having it. And then I brought out the tee myself and started teaching myself. And when he saw that I actually was interested, he was all in on it. So I pretty much just caught my dad's interest, and he got me going with t-ball and all that jazz, and we just kept going.
You guys lost to Williams, but you rallied back against Hartford. Yeah. How important is it to win early in the season?
I think that winning early sets a good precedent for the beginning of the season, and you're setting that standard that you want to continue to uphold. We still, not a big deal to us that we lost to Williams. We, just kind of brushed it off, moved on to Hartford, and did our best. I think it's a really, really big thing on our team to try to win as much as possible, obviously, and win early on and just stay strong. So, very important.
Yeah. So you pitch and hit. Does practice look a little different because of that?
Yes. I think I have to, show up an hour early, stay an hour later to do a bullpen. I have to make my way to third base, have to take some fielding reps of pitching. Got to make sure I can hit. So occasionally we'll do hitting practices, but for some others that's a 1 hour on the tees and front toss. For me, that's an hour bullpen and also an hour hitting and whatnot. So bouncing a lot back and forward.
That sounds like a lot. How do you handle it?
I think I just want to do it so badly. If I didn't want to do it, I wouldn't, and that would be difficult. I think if you have to want to work that hard and want to do all those things. I came to Springfield because I knew I would get the opportunity to at least try to play all those positions, which is I'm really, really grateful for. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So my last question is, what are the team's goals for the season?
We are trying to set find our new identity as a team and kind of be just a collective unit instead of a team of individuals. We want to win a New Mac championship. We want that every year. We don't want MIT to get the three-peat. I know everyone on the team is working their hardest out there and supporting one another. So I'd say our goal is to come out strong and not care who's in the other dugout. We do not care who's in there. If it was Williams, Hartford, or whoever else will play, we're just going to go at them full force.
Yeah, that's a great mentality to have. That's going to be it for this week's athlete interview. Amelia, thank you so much for joining us.
Softball returns to Potter Field March 29th for a doubleheader against Emerson. Now to look at the upcoming athletic schedule. Men's volleyball continues on its dominant campaign when it takes on Russell Sage tomorrow night. Women's lacrosse looks to bounce back after losing to number 15 Trinity. It can do so on Saturday night against Emerson. Later, men's lacrosse faces off against Babson for its first NEWMAC conference game of the year. Track and field competes in the NCAA Division III Indoor National Championship this weekend. After an opening weekend at home, softball will travel down to the Sunshine State next week to compete in the spring games. Nina Lamb and Christian Butler qualified for the NCAA Division III Swimming and Diving Championships and will compete on Wednesday and Friday. To see each team's full schedule, go to springfieldcollegepride.com. That's it for this edition of Sports Extra. Stick around after the break to see how students are planning to spend their spring break.
When I was growing up, my mom was extremely tidy. We were trained to put things back where we got them from. One day, when I walked into my mom's house, I felt like I walked to someone else's house. There was stuff everywhere, and just growing up the way I grew up and to see this transition was very alarming.
When Sean talked to me, it was a wake-up call, and that's when I went to the doctor.
Spring break can either be a relaxing vacation from college work, or it could be a time to have fun with friends somewhere much warmer than Springfield. SCTV3's Shane Barron and Brian Weiss asked students some of their plans for the week off.
With spring break rapidly approaching, I went around on campus to find out how students are spending their time off. Izzy Paz, where are you going for spring break?
I'm going to Wake Forest to visit my cousin.
Hey, that's awesome. Are you excited?
Yes, very.
How long are you going for?
Just the weekend.
Where are you going for spring break?
My house.
Where's that at?
Delaware.
Tessberry, what are your plans for spring break this year?
I'm getting my wisdom teeth out, and then hopefully I'm going to visit my sister in Philly.
Oh, that's exciting. Are you excited to get your wisdom teeth out?
No.
No. Griffin, you're becoming a regular on this segment. If you were to go anywhere for spring break, where would you go?
It's a great question. I'm gonna say Florida. I've never been there in my life, so I think I'd like to experience it.
Specific place in Florida?
Not really. I mean, maybe like Fort Lauderdale. I heard it's nice.
Where are you guys going for spring break this year?
South Carolina.
Where in South Carolina?
Greenville.
Greenville? Are you guys...
That's crazy. I'm going to the same place. Greenville? I'm also going there. That's crazy.
Are you guys going together?
I think, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Are you flying Delta? Yeah.
What are your plans for spring break this year?
I'm going to Boston with some of my friends.
Oh, going to Boston. What are you doing there?
Celebrating St. Patrick's Day.
Gotta love it. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Where are you guys going for spring break?
Block Island. Yep, Block Island.
Together?
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope. Are you taking the ferry?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. All right, have fun, guys.
That's all we have tonight on SCTV3 Weekly News. Thank you for joining us.
We will be off the air next week for spring break, but we'll be back the following Thursday, the 27th. So make sure to tune in then.
Same time.
Same place.